I mean, I could talk all day.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
Feeling that acute burnout, say it. Like, go take time, go for a walk. Like, we've done that.
Start something, this weaknesses kicks in. Some people say imposter.
What you hear all day long, the majority of it is inside your own head. Like our internal narrative.
Leadership is kind of something that cannot be taught. It has to be learned. It's kind of wisdom.
Epic Renewal is one that they do all of our composting here. The Nest, which is a vintage store, it's a secondhand store located in Providence. Vincent Emery, who is the co-founder of Little Roadie Coffee, that day at that event, someone came up to him and said, I'm going to connect you with the buyer at Dave's Marketplace.
Most businesses fail within first 5 years.
People think about quitting as a negative thing. There's a negative connotation to quitting. And professional poker players know when to fold.
Hello everyone, we have Julie Owens, CEO of Social Enterprise Greenhouse here. Let's discuss on a few things that we can check on what SEG is. So Julie, you want to start with what is SEG or
Sure.
Social Enterprise Greenhouse?
Sure. So Social Enterprise Greenhouse is a nonprofit organization based in Rhode Island, and we are focused on incubating and accelerating social entrepreneurs. So these are people who use business to not only generate a profit, but also to create good in the communities that we live and work in. And so we started in 2008 as a 501c3 nonprofit. Since that time, we've supported over 2,400 social entrepreneurs. And it's really an amazing organization that is creating a lot of positive impact in the state and beyond.
That's great, actually. So how is it different from other organizations, I can say, like from businesses or other nonprofits, and like how is it different?
Sure. So when I first took this job, that's one of the things I was really trying to tackle. So when you think about the work that we do, we support startups, small businesses, nonprofits, co-ops. And there are a lot of other organizations that work kind of adjacent to us and work with some of those same kind of customers, I guess. And the thing that is unique about SEG is that we are kind of the intersection of social impact, which is basically creation of good. It could be, you think about social challenges that people are grappling with, everything from health inequities to food insecurity, climate change. So what we do is take those challenges and apply some of the principles of entrepreneurship and innovation to those problems, and those things coming together are essentially the core of the work that we do at SEG. So when you think about like the Venn diagram of organizations, that I actually tried to map this out, and it's really complicated because it's more like not even 3-dimensional, it's like 4 or 5-dimensional. Some organizations work with the organizations in a certain industry, some work with organizations in a certain geography, like chambers of commerce, and we really are focused on organizations that want to do good in the world. They want to both do well and do good through their business, whether it be a for-profit or a nonprofit. And so that's really the niche that we are in, is using innovation and entrepreneurship to tackle some of those really complex problems.
Got it. That sounds interesting. So, for example, I'm a student. I have some really good ideas, like lots of ideas to work on, like these concepts, but some are focused on kind of social impact that you're mentioning. It's like it is for a good purpose or solving something because of which something good might happen. But as a student, I don't know.
Right.
So how I can go further, or how can you help, or SEG comes into this?
Sure. So you're saying as a student, like a university student, or
Yeah, so college or university student.
Okay.
Yeah.
So um, it's a good question. So we have a host of programs. So the way that we do this work, we kind of group it into three different areas. So one is knowledge. So it's actually programming and content that we share with entrepreneurs so that they really understand, the how of building that business and scaling that business. The second is capital. Every business needs resources and funding to be able to do its work. And then the third is community. So it's really networks, pulling people together, gathering people who have, similar challenges, are working on similar solutions, and just big like cross-pollination of ideas with each other. So when I think about a university student, they can kind of plug in different ways. So right now, we do have a partner program with Bryant University. We also have one with Wheaton College and one with Brown University. We also have kind of less formal partnerships with many other universities throughout the state. And through those, they're all a little bit different, but students have exposure to the idea of social enterprise. So they get to, there's one program that is currently we're doing with Bryant and with Wheaton. And through that, the university students are matched with a summer intern experience. So they work with a social enterprise. They work with an entrepreneur that is, we match them. We try to find something that they're really interested in, whether it be an industry that they're really interested in, tackling a certain challenge, or if there's like a functional area that they have expertise in and want to build out, like they might be really interested in digital marketing, and so there might be a venture that needs that. So we would pair them together. We also have, some different workshops and things that we do that are a great opportunity for college students to really get some exposure to some of these concepts, and then also to a lot of the people who are really active in this space. So a good example of that, last week we had our third annual Impact Business Showcase, and that is it's an amazing event that brings together, I think there were over 300 people in the room. It's at Farm Fresh every year. And we had a number of university students who came to that. And so they were able to see social entrepreneurs pitch their ventures. They were able to meet some of the social entrepreneurs who were tabling and talking about their ventures and the work that they're doing. And then just get to meet a whole, host of people in the kind of Rhode Island social impact entrepreneurship network. And so, as a university student, I think that was a really cool opportunity for some of them to participate. And then sometimes we'll get pulled in to like judge a pitch event or, do different things. A lot of the universities in the state of Rhode Island do have really interesting entrepreneurship programs right now. And so, some of them reach out to us to be judges, for pitch events, or to come in and be like a guest speaker on, with some of their classes, and we're always happy to do that if we have the capacity to. So as a university student, and as a student, if you are a student entrepreneur, so if you're launching a venture or you have a venture already, you are always welcome to apply to participate in one of our programs, one of our core programs. So we have an incubator and an accelerator program that run in English. And then we have a program that runs in Spanish language program, the Navegador. And we've had an incubator program that also is run in Spanish. And so those applications open usually twice a year. And so anyone is welcome to apply for that for an entrepreneur.
Also, I heard that you mentioning some pitch events and some other events where students came in and engaged. How do they find out about these events, and how often they happen? So the best way to stay up on what we're doing is to either follow us on social media. So we're SE Greenhouse. If you follow us on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and now we're on Blue Sky. We also have a newsletter that we do once a month, so we don't fill your inbox with things every day. We really curate content and send a very
it's a really wonderful distillation of all of the things that are happening in our community. That newsletter goes out once a month, and if you go on our website at segreenhouse.org, on the homepage you can register for the newsletter. So those are the best ways to find out. But also, we're always doing outreach and, talking with partner organizations and really trying to make sure that the programming that we do, the events we do are, well publicized.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, that's a lot of information in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
But to go back to how it started, what led you to join this space? And was there a moment or experience that inspired you?
Yes. So what led me to join this space? So it was 2018, and I was doing management consulting. I'd been in Rhode Island for about 3 years, and we had moved from New York, but I had lived all over the country. My husband was in the military, and so my family moved a lot. And so we moved to Rhode Island, which was really a homecoming. He's from Rhode Island, I'm from Massachusetts, which was really wonderful to be able to come back to this part of the country. So I'd been doing some consulting projects with a few organizations based in, a couple based in Rhode Island actually, and a few based in New England. And we had settled in Rhode Island, we saw our future in Rhode Island. And so I wanted to kind of embed here in the community and be working with organizations that were really supporting the Rhode Island community. And so it's a very Rhode Island story, but my my husband's cousin's best friend was part of SEG. He was, he'd been on the board, he was an advisor, and he and I had a conversation at one point, and he was like, oh, you really should plug into this organization. They're doing amazing work. At that time, I didn't know what social enterprise was. Mm-hmm. So I went into consulting in the healthcare sector because it felt like the place to apply business knowledge for good, I guess. I kind of saw that industry as a way to align with what was important to me as a person. And then Ken Barrett is the name of this person who introduced me to SEG. So he had me meet with Kelly Ramirez, who was the CEO at that time. And so I met with her, and you asked if there was a specific moment, and it totally is true. There was one. I was sitting out in our hub. We have a hub co-working space in Dayball Square in Providence, and it's this beautiful old brick building, a lot of natural light that kind of comes in. You can't tell because it's dark, a little dark and dreary today, but these big windows. And I remember sitting in the main central area with Kelly on these orange chairs, and the sun's coming in, and she's telling me about SEG and social enterprise and the idea of being a connector, a resource for entrepreneurs who are doing it, who are being the good, they are being the change they want to see in the world. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to be when I grow up. And so I did some advising with SEG. I did a couple of consulting engagements with SEG. And in 2022, Kelly had been at SEG for 13 years and was taking a really new, exciting role at Providence College, starting an incubator. And so the team reached out to me, the board reached out to me about doing the CEO role on an interim basis. And so I did, and then I ended up being here for the long haul. So now I've been here. I started as interim in August of 2022. So
nice.
Yeah, it's I've said this in a lot of places, but it's my dream job. It's very rewarding to work every day with a team, a staff, co-working members like you, entrepreneurs who are really they are, they haven't just identified a problem, they are making the solution happen. They are using all of the resources they have available to tackle it. And I just find that fuels my hope and optimism that the challenges that we all are seeing every day right now, that there's a lot of good happening too, and I get to really see it up close and personal every day. So I feel like I'm fortunate in that. I don't know that everybody has this like front row view of some of the good things that are happening, but that's what I love about my job is in different roles. I've been in the workforce for 30 years, and in different roles you have different exposure to that, and mine is I get to really see things, see these things up close, and it's good.
So that's interesting. So going to the next, I've got some points from you mentioned about optimism. You mentioned about different programs, different students, and the business journey, and how you started from consulting to social enterprise greenhouse, becoming a CEO. It's all actually kind of tough journey. I mean, it's easier said than kind of experience you have. But in your experience, what do you think on business journey or a social enterprise journey, or a student having an idea or a concept? So there's a saying, or people say most of the time, that most businesses fail within first 5 years, or 95% of startups fail in the beginning stages. So in your experience, what's your thoughts on this? Why students, businesses, or social enterprises doing good? All of these are kind of, are they still failing, or what's your take on this?
Are they still so?
Or why do they fail initially?
On why they fail? Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why organizations fail. I don't have numbers off the top of my head, but I would say that a lot of organizations fail. There's so many reasons. Running a business is really hard, and you have to have a very clear model. You have to be very committed to it. You have to be resourced to do it. Have the runway of resources to be able to make that business successful. You have to be able to pivot. There's so many things. Then at any one of those points, a business can really have a hard time. As a social impact business, I think in some ways it's even more challenging, really, because you're looking at a double bottom line. You're not just looking at profitability, you're looking at your social impact as an organization. And so if you don't have margin, if you don't have money to be able to make that happen, it's really hard to deliver on your mission. So you have to be resilient and financially sustainable, and you also have to be able to really measure impact that you're trying to have, and your progress that you're making towards that vision of the future that you're seeking to achieve. And if you aren't doing both of those things, then are you failing? I think failure is a loaded word, and I would argue that when you think about it from the perspective, it's an entrepreneur, it's a person. Like if you're an entrepreneur, you're a human, right? You're a person, and that idea, that business, that venture might not succeed. You might there might be for reasons that you control, for reasons you don't control, it might not succeed. But we've all seen all of the case studies and things on Steve Jobs and all people, entrepreneurs who through failure have learned something that catapults them to the next idea, and then that's the next idea that changes the world. And so sometimes failure can be a great teacher, and so it's painful. Failure's never easy or comfortable, but in failure sometimes entrepreneurship is a highly risky endeavor. If you are starting a venture, the numbers and the risk profile of it. And so what I think you have to really be clear on what failure is for you as an individual, as a venture. And if you do need an exit strategy, like what that would look like at what point you're making that decision. and what you need to be doing, whether it's financial or impact measurements, in order to say I am being successful at this work.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. So following up, I have like multiple questions, but first I want to touch base on double bottom line you mentioned. So the main difference between a business, a non-profit, and a social enterprise is, if a non-profit is focusing more on towards impact or the mission and goals that they have instead of profits, where the businesses are focusing on only profits, kind of the priority is the profit, I can say. So, but the social enterprise is a kind of different thing. Do you want to explain on that?
Yeah, so just a couple of kind of definitional things. So nonprofit and for-profit, or a corporation, LLC, those are tax structures. Those are legal ways that you can file as an entity, right? And there are pros and cons to any. There are things that make people choose different paths. A social enterprise can be any of the above. A social enterprise can be a nonprofit, it can be a for-profit, it can be any type of for-profit, it can be a benefit corporation, it can be an S corp, it can be any entity, and it can be a nonprofit. We are a 501c3 nonprofit at ICG. We're a social enterprise. So there are a lot of different definitions of social enterprise, and we're a social enterprise greenhouse. So it's really important that we're clear on what we mean by social enterprise. And to sum that up, it is a venture, regardless of their tax status, that is pursuing that double bottom line. It is pursuing positive impact for people and planet. It is social impact, economic impact, environmental impact, and it is also a profitable, sustainable business, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit. If it's a nonprofit, people who are nonprofit and think you're not making money, but you have to make enough money, you have to make enough revenue to balance your expenses, or you're not going to be a nonprofit for very long. You have to have that balance. So whatever your tax status is, you can be a social enterprise. And as a nonprofit, think about business principles that will enable you to be sustainable and resilient. Or as a for-profit, you can think about social impact principles that will enable you to be a business that is doing good for your workers, for your customers, for your community, for your planet.
That's good to know. So people have more understanding of what we are discussing on that part. And coming to the follow-up questions, as we are discussing on why most businesses fail,
right?
And there are multiple reasons. So what's the difference between people who move forward and people who give up? Is it the resources, mindset, support, or what do you say on this?
I don't have the answer to that. I don't have the data to know that across the board. I mean, really, it's a personal decision. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs decide that they did not want to continue to move forward for a host of reasons. I mean, I have anecdotal evidence. I don't have a data set, but I do think there is a podcast I listened to a couple months ago. Adam Grant does a podcast called Rethinking. And there was a guest, he had Annie Duke, who is a professional poker player. And Annie had written a book, I forget what the title of the book is, but it's about quitting. And people think about quitting as a negative thing. There's a negative connotation to quitting. And professional poker players know when to fold. So they don't use emotion. It is based on the data. It's based on numbers. They know the likelihood of failure or success for any given hand. And so they're able to fold without emotion or quit. And so this book, I haven't read the actual book, it's on my list, but the podcast was really interesting. She was talking about quitting and, the emotional response that kind of elicits in people. But sometimes quitting is the best path. Like, that is actually the best thing that you can do at that point. So in poker, it's folding. But in business, sometimes it is making that very hard decision that this is not the right fit for you for any reason. And then there's another, sometimes hopefully another opportunity that's ahead of you that you can apply all of those lessons that you learned. And we've seen this at SEG. We've had entrepreneurs who go through one of our programs and, for whatever reason, that venture does not continue to move forward. At some point, they decide to end that operation, but then they apply all of that, and then what they do next is sometimes that much more successful because they have all of that experience that they've lived and benefited from, and they can apply to something else and be that much further along.
So how can someone get involved with SEG or get support from if they're just getting started off?
Yeah, so people can get involved with SEG in a few ways. So if you are an entrepreneur and you are interested in participating in one of our programs, the best thing to do is to check out our website. We're actually going to be launching a new website. We have one up now, but we're going to be launching a new one that is really a big step up for us. Thank you to Ray Nunez and company, the People's Agency, who's worked with us on it. But the best thing to do is to check out our website and look at what programs we have available. So all of the application information is available on the website for those cohort-based programs, which are, they run a few times a year, and they are an opportunity for entrepreneurs that are at a similar stage in their entrepreneurial journey to come together as part of a cohort that is between, it's 10 to 12 weeks long typically, and they have a program lead who's on our team who guides them through a curriculum together, connects them into advisors and all of the resources that they need to be able to launch or scale their venture. If you aren't in that position, but you really could benefit from kind of more individualized services, we have programs that we offer through some of the place-based work that we're doing in the state. So we have programming in Woonsocket, Central Falls, and in the city of Providence. And then you also can plug in kind of on an ad hoc basis and just come to one of our events. We host a new series we actually just launched 2 weeks ago called POV with SEG. We're putting those out as podcasts as well, but it's discussions on interesting topics that are relevant to the Rhode Island entrepreneurial community and broader entrepreneurial community, tackling some of the questions that we're all really grappling with in this space. So you can look out for those and come to those events. And then on the kind of other side of things, we have a number of volunteer advisors. We have over 250 individuals who volunteer their time to work with SEG entrepreneurs. And so that can really look, there's a lot of variations on it, but typically if you come in, we'll sit down with you, someone on our team will sit down with you, understand what your background is, what your expertise is, what your interests are, what your availability and capacity are like, and then we'll match you with an entrepreneur who needs that set of skills. And it's really, really flexible. So if you're at a place in your career where you're really busy and you just don't have a lot of time, you can kind of table it for a bit and then you can plug back in when you have a little bit more capacity. So that's another way that people can really get involved with SEG and the work that we do.
That's interesting. So do you want to share some success stories that you have at SEG?
Absolutely. It's my favorite part of this work. So, okay, so I'll share one that's at top of mind for me, which is Vincent Emery, who is the co-founder of Little Roadie Coffee. So he is actually a student at Bryant University, and he founded a coffee company. And so he's based here in Rhode Island. He went through our accelerator program, and he's really focused on sustainability and environmental impact of the roasting process, coffee, the whole supply chain of coffee. And he went through our accelerator, and then he pitched at our Impact Showcase in 2024. And he was one of the prize winners, but he also, that day at that event, someone came up to him and said, I'm going to connect you with the buyer at Dave's Marketplace. And Vincent was like, that, it's a big store in Rhode Island. And so Vincent was like, okay, that's amazing, great. And so he did. And so Vincent, I think a couple months later, got a phone call, and it was the buyer from Dave's. And now Little Rhodey Coffee is sold in Dave's Marketplace, which is wonderful. I mean, it's a major presence in Rhode Island, and was a big boost for Vincent and for Little Rhodey. So that's one. I mean, really any venture that's through SEG can share like success stories and impact stories of what they've done. Like The Nest, which is a vintage store. It's a secondhand store located in Providence with an amazing mission of reducing textile waste. I don't know what the latest numbers are, but they measure how much clothing, how many textiles have been diverted from going to a landfill. And by all of the programming they do, they don't just sell clothing, they have all kinds of programs where they are encouraging people to embrace slow fashion and not fast fashion. So really giving multiple lives to one item of clothing, all kinds of really interesting things. I mean, we have so many. Like Epic Renewal is one that they do all of our composting here at the hub. Their mission is a zero waste world, and so they're doing all of these things to really move that work forward. I mean, I could talk all day.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. But coming to the next part, which is challenges. So what do you think, or can you share a story of time that social enterprise greenhouse faced a big obstacle and how you handled that?
We faced a big obstacle and how we handled it. So I think any organization that's working in this space right now is facing some pretty existential, significant challenges. I think every nonprofit is. So when you look at funding profiles, a lot of organizations like SEG, a significant component of our funding, like our revenue, came from federal government money, federal grants. And a year ago, we could kind of see the writing on the wall that money was not going to be around forever. There was a lot of money focused on small business support to really bolster small businesses recovering from the pandemic. And so business support organizations like ours were granted funds to be able to put on programming and do all kinds of technical assistance for all of these small businesses. And so you kind of knew that wasn't going to stay up here forever. It was going to come back down. And so last year was really challenging because we had to make some pretty significant cuts to our budget because of funding challenges. And so we navigated that, and it was really hard. We had to roll back some of the programming we were doing. We did focus on the pieces that are the programs that are most impactful, and looked at the work that we're doing, our portfolio of services, and decided to really focus on the ones that were the most transformational for the entrepreneurs that were going through them. But it's hard. We're a small team, and so anytime you go through something like that, it's really, it's just hard on everyone. So I think the biggest challenge that a lot of us are facing right now is funding and our own sustainability. And so we, as a social enterprise who is more savvy about earned revenue and the need for a diverse set of revenue streams, like a portfolio of revenue that is going to kind of hedge our bets a little bit and make sure that we're not too reliant on any one funding source. And if that goes away, then we're in a lot of trouble. So we have been working on that ourselves and figuring out what things we can do to have more resilient and durable earned revenue streams, because we are very committed to continuing to do the core programming we do and not charging entrepreneurs who go through our incubation and acceleration programs, because we really want it to be accessible to all. And when you're at that stage of business development, it's just, it's hard to be able to piece together funding to be able to go through a program.
Got it. I mean, yeah, it's actually tough decisions that comes up when there are challenging times.
Yeah.
But I would like to follow up on how do you prioritize on important things and less important things? And when it comes to like if there are like two things, one is important, one is less important. If something that needs to be important, like, or it needs to come from less important to the important section, what do you see and how do you prioritize on those things?
So it's something that I continue to work on myself personally is prioritization. It's hard. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, which seems like kind of a constant. But I think that in prioritization, I really think about what is the impact if I do this? What is the impact if I don't do this? Am I the only person who could do this, or is there someone else on my team, someone else who could do as good or better of a job than me at this? I really try to think about what I'm doing and how important it is, and then being a leader of a team and making sure that that the things that we're doing, the juice is worth the squeeze. Like, we are thinking about anything you do, there's an opportunity cost, like by doing one thing, you're choosing not to do something else. And so you can't go on autopilot and do something because you've always done it. We have to be mindful and also taking care of ourselves. I think in this work right now, there is a lot of burnout. You see a lot of burnout in nonprofit and entrepreneurship. And so just being mindful of that and really making sure that you are continually, it's like triage, it's like you're always running triage. Like, I feel like sometimes I'm like intake in an ER and there's new things coming in, and you're always thinking about what is most, not just urgent, but really what is important. You can't let the urgency override importance, because sometimes something, that's really important, you keep kicking it to the back burner because it's not urgent. You don't have to do it right now, but it's really, really important that you do it. And so, I've got all kinds of strategies that I've employed in my own life, trying to block time out on my calendar to focus on those things that are like deeper work that are more important. Putting my headphones on and going deep and just, no distractions for 2 hours so that I can really focus on it. Some of those things have helped me personally be able to make sure that I am prioritizing and focusing on the things that are most important.
Good. I mean, that's interesting. So I have some similar questions here.
Okay.
So I think most of it is covered. Before going to my last question, I want to touch base on leadership and team management. Since you've been as a CEO of an organization and you've managed a team of people.
Right.
So what are few things like positives and negatives, or what are some challenges you face when it comes to managing a team?
It is an incredible gift and an incredible responsibility. It is, I think this is the first time I've been a leader in this way. And there's a lot of things that have kind of, I guess, prepared me for it. I don't know that, I never really saw myself as a CEO. I think, like, even when I introduce myself, I always say, I work at Social Enterprise Greenhouse. I don't really introduce myself as I'm the CEO of Social Enterprise Greenhouse. It feels, I still am like almost like working through that in my own self. But I think that leadership is it's not a title. Leadership is how you behave. Leadership is how you take care of, how you are a protector of, a steward of, an enabler of the people who are in your care. Like I take that really seriously. Like I have a team, there's 13 of us, and they're awesome. I mean, you know them all. Like we have an incredible team. It's a heavy responsibility knowing that what I do, I mean, their worlds are dependent on sometimes on a decision that I'm the bottom line one making that decision. Like it's coming from me. I'm consulting people, but at the end of the day, that's my job. I have to make the hard decisions. And so that's heavy. Something I take really, really seriously. But I just think leadership is showing up. Leadership is being someone who can create a vision of what a team can do if they are empowered, if they are resourced, if they are free to do things the way that they think is best to do them. My job as a leader is to help them see their capability. Like I want, when someone looks at me and is having a conversation with me, I want, like, if I'm a mirror and they're looking at their reflection through the mirror that is me, I want them to see the best self. Like I want them to see the best version of themselves, what they're capable of. I want how I talk with them, how I give them feedback, how I support them. I want that to enable them to see all the things that they're capable of doing. And then I want to make sure that I'm equipping them to the best of my ability with everything that they need to be able to be that and do that. And that's what's fun about leadership. It is like knowing your people, like really seeing what they're capable of doing and then helping them to launch into that space. And then when they do, it's like celebrating that. Like we just had this big event last week. Like every single person rose above and beyond what I could have imagined that we would all be able to do. And like we all need to take a beat and just be like really proud of that and happy with that. So I think that's an important part of it too.
Nice, interesting. I mean, few days back I was like kind of learning so many things, like kind of from YouTube videos, from book reading and all. I came across a sentence or a quote, I can say. It's something that it's not about leadership, but it's something other thing, but I can relate to what you're saying. Leadership is kind of something that cannot be taught. It has to be learned. It's kind of wisdom. So people say this about a wisdom. Wisdom can't be taught. It has to be kind of learned. Like it has to be an experience you have to deal with.
You can't just, and I read, hold on, I'm going to see if I can find this while we're talking. I saw this and I thought it was so great. Okay, Simon Sinek said this. Leadership is a responsibility. It's not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. I thought that was beautiful. Like, I don't see leadership as being in charge or being I think that's why initially when I was looking at doing this role, I didn't see myself in it because I just I don't see myself as a leader. You know, like I'm a pretty open book. I'm a pretty transparent. I see my flaws. I see my weaknesses. You know, I see all the things I could do, or I know that I have blind spots. Like I know all these things. I think I'm pretty reflective about all the things that I could do better. I tend to be hard on myself, but I don't know. I think I look back at my career and the thing that I'm most proud of is that I took a chance on myself. Like I took a chance on, I believed that I could do it when that didn't come naturally to me. Like I didn't just naturally think, oh, I could do this job. I had to really kind of psych myself up for it. And really, it was, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did.
Nice, interesting. I mean, since you're saying about weaknesses and all, I mean, me and like most of the people relate to this on, people see their weaknesses as a kind of starting point, you know, when they're kind of trying to start something, this weaknesses kicks in. Some people say imposter syndrome or something. Right. So how do you handle that one? Like,
yeah,
I mean, do you actually got that one, or do you have that one, or
imposter syndrome, totally.
Mm-hmm. How do you handle that?
So I'll tell you the advice I give other people, which I try to live myself. I don't always, but I give this advice. When you feel like that, when you feel that imposter syndrome kicking in, try to step outside yourself and think about how someone else would view you. So in that moment, how would an unbiased party who knows you, your friend, your colleague, be describing what you're doing in that moment, or your ability to do that in that moment? And oftentimes that's a much kinder, gentler, more positive point of view than what you would be telling yourself. Like, I don't know what the percentage is, but you think about what you hear all day long, the majority of it is inside your own head. Like our internal narrative is a lot of what we hear all day. Like the thing, the internal thing that's going on. And so if that's, preaching self-doubt and telling you can't do it, I mean, really, it's hard to get past that. So you have to try to reframe and think about how someone else might describe you who knows you really well, a prior boss, maybe, a mentor, someone, and then I think sometimes that enables you to see yourself doing something that you wouldn't think you could do.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's a good one, actually. You have to try seeing it from the other person's perspective instead of going
in your own
head.
Rabbit hole.
That's cool. So one more question before I proceed to last question. How do you recognize, or how do you see when team is experiencing a burnout, and how do you handle that?
I don't think they necessarily tell me. I don't think I haven't had anybody come to me and tell me that they're burned out. I'm always watching, but I think my default assumption is that people are probably always feeling a version of that just because of what we're living right now. I think especially in a moment like we just had this big event last week, there have been a lot of big things that have been happening in March and April. So I'm assuming that not I don't know if burnout is the right word, but I'm assuming that everybody in our team is kind of fried. I just think that that's a pretty safe bet. And so I want to encourage people, I just did it today, to take some vacation, take a day, take a sick day, a mental health day if you need to take. I think we all, and I need to model this. I actually need to do a better job of this because I'm really bad at it. But I need to make some more space for that in my own life and model that for my team, because I think if I'm behaving a certain way and then telling them something different, it's kind of hypocritical, and I don't think that's the healthiest way to approach it. So I'm trying to really think about some of that for myself too, because I want to be able to do this for a while and be sustainable, and I want my team to be able to do this and be sustainable. So if any of you are watching, tell me if you're feeling burnt out, or tell your manager if you're feeling burnt out.
I mean, that's my next question. If anybody feels burnout, if somebody's watching, how do they need to approach? If they're having a fear to approach, what do you suggest?
I think just know that we all have it sometimes. I read, I'm a big fan of Brene Brown. I just think she's awesome. And she wrote a book, The Atlas of the Heart. And so there's all these sections on emotions that we feel. And one of them is overwhelm. So she describes it beautifully, and I'm not going to try to, but look it up, Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart. So one of the stories, I think I heard this on a podcast, but she talked about she was working at a restaurant and, serving tables, and, everything happened at the same time, just really a lot of stuff. And they had a code word when they needed to go into the fridge to be able to cool off or go outside or something. And it was, I'm blown. It just meant don't ask me any questions, cover my tables. I need to go right now. I am feeling overwhelmed and I can't function. And that got me. Like, I think you don't want to get to that place. Like, you don't want to get to a place where you feel that. But if you are, we all need to trust each other and be like, peace out, you go. If you're feeling that, go. Like, take it. I want to come back from that and just say I don't think any of us are at that place right now, but you can be at any given moment. Like, sometimes stuff happens and it's just like we have to take care of each other in this work. And so if you are feeling that acute burnout, say it. Like, go take time, go for a walk. Like, we've done that. I've done that here. I've just been like, I just need to go take a walk, and I will go take a walk. Or if you need a day, like, whatever it is, you just have to, like, I can't read minds. I can do a lot of stuff, but I can't read minds. If people talk about it, you know, we can work through most things. So I think the most important thing is just not being a martyr, like, not just, you know, communicating it. And I know not all work environments are like this, and but I do think we work in one that we take care of each other. And so if somebody's feeling that, they need to just raise it, and then we'll work on how to address it.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
So let's go to my last question, and I have some questions lined up from SEG community as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. So last question is, if you had to go back and start from scratch, and with just an idea and no connections, what would you do different?
You mean to the beginning of my career?
Yeah, I mean, if you have to go back in time and with all this knowledge you have until now, what would you do differently?
That's a tough one, Mahesh. Like, I feel like, there's things I would do differently because I have some wisdom that I've gathered over the course of time that, sure, if I could whisper in my, the ear of my 25, 30-year-old self, I'd be like, don't be afraid to speak up. Trust your instincts with people, with situations. Believe in yourself. Like, know your worth, know your capability. Like, a lot of those things that you come with being over 50. That you just, like, you have to build that, I think, sometimes over time. Like, you learn to trust yourself. But I really don't think I would do anything differently. Like, I don't think there's any step that I would have taken really differently. It's been a very circuitous path to get to where I am now, with a lot of stops and starts and sideways and all that, but I don't think I would have done anything different.
That's cool. I mean, coming back to what we discussed, it's a kind of experience that can't be taught. That can't be, like, it has to be learned. So, And I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Like 4 questions from SEG team.
Okay.
So first one is, what partnerships or new programs do you see for SEG's future growth and stability?
Okay, so partnerships, I'll tell you one I'm super excited about. It's our partnership with Bryant University. So Bryant is, as many know, an amazing institution of higher learning here in the state of Rhode Island. And they are really, really innovative, and they are focused on sustainability and social impact. So they just remapped all of their core curriculum to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They're doing a lot of work that's very aligned with ours. So we have a really great partnership with them, and I think we could continue to build that out. There's so many Bryant students who are entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, and so I think we can really kind of partner on some of our resources that we have that will help equip some of their student entrepreneurs to do just that.
Cool, interesting. And next one is, what keeps you going? The work we do is so important, but it's easy to feel downtrodden and overwhelmed by the current political climate and its myriad of impacts on nonprofits and the people we serve. I think this has already been answered.
Yeah, but
or
like,
if you want to add
I just think what keeps me going, like, I think, God, I just can't give up on it. Like, this is, like you think about, you can't fix everything. Like, any one of us can't. I mean, problems are multiplying before my eyes. Like, I have no hope of, changing that fact, but I can do something good. Like, I can use my mindset, I can use my knowledge, I can use my networks, I can use my optimism to try to be the force for good that I want to be. Like that's what keeps me going, is like seeing. I'm not a good gardener, and which is kind of funny because like we're social enterprise greenhouse, right? When I first went home and told, I forget which one of my kids, one of them was like, greenhouse? Like, you're not that good of a gardener. I was like, oh, thanks. But, you really, like, you want to be thinking about, like, you put, a little bit of water, a little bit of sunshine, like, we have these ingredients that we're connecting entrepreneurs with, and you see the impact. Like, you see, like, when I forget to water one of my plants for a couple days and then I water it and you see the leaves pep up, like, like someone is launching a business and they need funding to be able to make it go, and so they're kind of withering, waiting for that, and then you connect them into the funding that they need, and then you see them go. Like, that's what keeps me going. Like, that fires me up.
Cool. That's interesting. I mean, I can relate to the changing seasons right now.
Yeah.
We're all seeing the trees without leaves.
Yeah.
Now we are going to see the summer kicks in, the
right.
leaves are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
And next, if you could start all over, what career path would you choose?
What career path would I choose?
Mm-hmm.
The one I did.
Cool.
Yeah.
And last question is, who inspires you?
Oh, man. My husband inspires me. So he's an orthopedic surgeon, and I don't know anyone like him. Like, we met when I was 18 years old, and he takes such good care of his people. Like, it is it's an amazing thing to watch. Like, he's inspiring because when you think about the challenges that people face in life, I think going through any kind of healthcare crisis is probably way up there at the top. And, he fixes shoulders and knees, so it's not like life and death things, but it's a big life thing for people that are navigating that. And he just treats every single person with so much care and sees them, and I find really, really inspiring. I'm inspired by my kids. I have 4. They're all incredible humans. Like, they are really, really interesting and funny, and now that they're growing into their kind of like adult versions of themselves, I just am inspired by, and just this generation, I think. Like, I look at how fired up they get about certain things. I look at how passionate they are about making the world a good place, and that gives me hope for our future. So I think that's I'm inspired by a lot. Like, I'm inspired by walking outside and the sun being, the sun shining and feeling like optimism about things. I'm inspired by, like, every person I work with. I mean, I really like everyone. Like, I'm Keish and Liz were like the co-MCs of our event last week, and just seeing their personality shine through in that, I mean, that was inspiring. Like, you just see the gifts that all of these people have that I get to work with, and how committed they are to the work they do. Like Ruthie, and how much love she gives to every single one of the entrepreneurs that come into her world. Like, I don't know how many numbers she's got in WhatsApp, but like, she's connected with like everybody in the state of Rhode Island. Like, and they all go to her when they need a cheerleader or a sounding board. So like I could say that about every person on the team I work with. They all inspire me. Like the entrepreneurs we work with inspire me. Yeah. And that's again, like kind of to close it out, I think that's why I love this work, because it feels good to feel inspired. It feels good to feel hopeful, and working here makes me feel that.
Nice. Thank you so much. And one last thing,
Yeah.
if you're on my shoes,
Yeah.
what questions would you ask?
What questions would I ask? I don't know. You did a really good job. You asked a lot of really good questions. I can't think of anything
Cool.
that you didn't get.
Thank you. I think
All right.
I got all the questions. So
Good.
Thank you so much again for taking time.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
wonderful. Yeah.
Good. Thanks,
Thank you.
Mahesh.